Hello, this is Paul and welcome to Titan Customs. Today we are going to work on this 78 Chevy C10 over my shoulder there. It has been here, I really don't know, I think about 15 years. I got it a long time ago. Somebody owed me some money and it's pretty beat up, as you can see. In the front clip is just hammered. Supposedly ran. They didn't register it because it wouldn't pass smog. It's a 78, I do believe. That's what I just said. So what I'm going to do is put you on the tripod. As you can see, I can't really get to the driver's door since I put it here. The brush is taken over. So I'm going to quick go around it with a saw and clear it. And then we're going to take a look underneath the hood, see if it actually will turn over, get a parts list for this thing, and I'm sure we have rodent issues. And we'll eliminate rodent issues, see what goes on with the engine, see if we can get it to turn over and make a list of stuff we need to get it started and do just that. And I'll go put you on the stand now. I'll move in a little brush and we'll be able to get in there and take a look. Yeah, let's just move some brush. And I missed one. It'll work for the moment. Oh my God. Wait till you see that. All right, let's get you in here. Let's take a walk around. So it is a short bed C10. This front clip is destroyed. And it also looks like they took some parts off of it. Obviously needs a mirror and a door. That's too bad. They have door for it. They actually have a good front clip. And yeah, somebody's been in here. The seat is unbolted. I don't know why that is. So we'll remove the rat's nest. That is just disgusting. What is that? A big table? Looks like somebody was trying to siphon. That's a hose. I thought it was electric wire, but it's not. I'll give you better angles at this. Cab, the bed is pretty straight. I don't know how they managed to get the glass on the outside of the slider, but it's on the outside. Is the door open? The door does open. Does the door have any glass in it? Absolutely does not. And the regulator's in there. Something really looks wrong about all that. But anyway, so we'll get this cleaned out. And it seems pretty solid there. It's a California vehicle. Actually, it's not a California. I'm in Northern California. There's a gas cap laying on the ground, that's interesting because it's on the wrong side. When was this? It's a Nevada vehicle, and $11.08. There's a ding in the right side, pretty good whammy in the right side of the cab, upper right side, passenger side. There it is, Big 10. It has both the hubcaps on the other side. Both these tires are completely shot. That's interesting. That's a four-wheel drive hubcap. This is definitely not. There's part of the rings for the headlights. There's the door panel makeup. That's interesting. These are all 5-lug rims. Nope, that's a 6. These 4 are 5-lug. There's a headlight. There's something else under there. That's the other head. That's interesting. So I've got 2 4-wheel drive hubcaps. And yeah. Okay, does this door open? Sorry about the fingers in the shot there. There is a gas cap that came off the, yeah, I don't know how that gas cap ended up there, but somebody obviously tried to siphon this. It's interesting because this is sitting in the middle of 386 acres behind a locked gate. This door doesn't seem to be in too bad a shape. No rust that I'm worried about. It is a stick, 4-speed granny low. The dash is obviously trashed. I think I have enough parts to dash gauge cluster cover. Dashboard is, yeah, old and tore up. Like I said, this is was a county vehicle from somewhere. the Great Seal of the State of Nevada. So it was a County of Nevada vehicle, which means no options, right? No AC. Does that have AC vents in it? I'd be surprised. I'm going to attempt to get the hood up. See what we got going on now. Originally, this was so beat up that I didn't want to deal with it. I actually, none of you are going to like this, was planning on taking the body off of it and putting a 55 Chevy body on it that's in a whole lot better shape. Back in the 80s, literally, I used to have a boss that would bring these things to me. They were always step sides. They were not cool in the 80s if they were a fleet side. Now there's another opinion about that. I'm not saying I'm not going to put a step side on it now. Doubtfully. Oh. Well, it's not air conditioning. And, yeah. The rodents have moved in. I can see there's a quadrijet there. And I don't know, probably was a mistake trying to opening that hood. Yeah, it's stiff. It's going to be fun getting that down. I know how to do that. So backward and down. When they're this bad, standing on them and shoving your foot towards the rear, get some of this thing has been folded. I am not worried about the front clip. I have another front clip for it. The grill is destroyed. I know my front clip's in really good shape. There's some, that would be from the acid out of the battery box. What do we got going on down here? Oh, we do have some rust there. But it's in the clip and I'm not keeping it. Custom Deluxe. C10. Wow, that's amazing. The window is not cracked. None of the glass except for the missing window is in bad shape, and I do have one of those. And the whole regulator, in fact, I have a whole door, but it's another color. Let's take another look at that. Probably not going to replace the door. I think I can work that out, and I know I can. Probably pop it out right in front of you, or most of it, that crease in the bottom there will be a little rough. So, I'm going to get you back on the tripod, and then I'm going to remove rodent nest from inside and inside the engine compartment, see what we got. If there's anything left of, I know there's no plug wires on that. They eat those. Yeah. Wow, is there even a plug in that thing? Where'd be the spark plug? There's one. There is, in fact, a plug wire and a spark plug. Doesn't mean it isn't 8 throughout the thing, but there is plug wires. Let's see. I'm going to put you back on the tripod. I'm going to get this off there. I'm going to grab a 5/8 socket and see if I can get this thing to turn over, and then we'll get a list of things together and get what we need to see if we can get it to start. If it starts, I'm going to tell you in advance, somebody, mainly me, stole the steering box off of it because I have a great big jacked up Blazer. I want to crossover steering, and like I said, I thought I was going to take this thing completely apart. I'm not going to do that. They're rare. It's a short bit, as we have already said, or I have already said, and that is why it's getting saved. And I will turn it into a hot rod, get it completely functional, and find it a new home. I have enough toys. Hot rods on my dirt road, I already got a couple, but I don't know, maybe I'll fall in love with it. But for the moment, let's just rescue it, get it legal again, and put it back on the road. I'm going to put you on a tripod. To say I'm not a fan of rodents would be a big understatement. This is nasty. Yeah. Yeah, I see rodent eating wire already. Make sure he isn't in here somewhere. Or she. This looks like nesting material. Either way. Seriously don't want it laying on the exhaust manifolds. Yeah, that's a completely 8.5 plug wire. Somebody, there's one. It does have battery cables. I'm assuming there's not a starter in this. That's a dead giveaway. Which makes me want, well, yeah, somebody's been parting this out. The radiator's gone. Yeah, that water pump feels a little funky too. Yeah, that's all the more I'm bumping. That throttle isn't locked and I'm not opening those blades. I don't know who the idiot was that didn't put the air cleaner back on, but it's a pet peeve of mine. The air cleaners on these things will last through a lot more, especially in California. We don't have that much humidity. I'm 30 miles from the coast, about a 45-minute drive. Really like 20 miles if you were to fly straight. We do get a little morning fog once in a while that rolls over the hills here, but it's not salty enough usually to mess up anything, heat up anything. We're gonna need an air blaster. Maybe I'll bring a little generator in my vacuum. It's probably what I actually will do. I ain't starting this with this garbage on it. That could start a fire. What do you think? There's some finely ground up puff. Kindling. Man, it is packed in around that distributor. That was this, yeah, I don't know what this is all about. I was assuming that was a vacuum advance. It was stuck in there, but the vacuum advance has a hose on it. PVC still in there, PCB. There's another 8.5 spark plug wire. So I'm definitely gonna need some wires. I'm gonna find out in a minute whether it turns over. That might be the whole engine. I do have another engine or two. One of the things I'm noticing here is they said that this was wouldn't pass smog. Now it might be that it was from another state, and in California I know they had air injection, which I don't know if you can see that or you can even see my hand, but right here are flat where there would be drilled out air injection and a smog pump, which this is not set up for. So I know I can get it smogged. I'm a mechanic. I've been doing this for decades. Boy, that's a straight 8.5. A lot of those went to the alternator. In fact, I think all those went to the alternator. Yep, those are alternator wires. This stuff's got to go, all of it. 3. Some more of the right side than the left. Ah, nasty. This rat hasn't been here in a while. It doesn't smell like rat. Okay, let's do the most important thing right now. Spin this down so I can get my socket in there. These are usually 5/8. Let's see if we can get him. If this thing moves, I'm not going to if it moves easily, I'm not going to move it much because I am going to pull the plugs out of it and put some lubricant in there because I know it hasn't, just as long as it's been here while I've had it. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, we have movement. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Oh, what the heck? Now it's coming to a stop. You know what I think? I think we got a bell housing full of does this have an inspection cover still on it? That moved rather easily though, so I know that what I'm hearing is crunch, crunch, crunching like sticks, which means this thing's got a bell housing full of, and it does have the inspection cover on it. So that's, oh, and I have a socket, extension without the ball working. All right, it does roll. We can get it to run. It's electronic ignition, so no points. And looks like one of the ignition wires was chewed on. I'll have to get that cleaned out a little more. Okay, let's move to stage 2 and go. We'll put you in the door and get that. See if the clutch isn't going to engage or disengage. I doubt that seriously. Let's run you over here. And give you a little better angle there. Let's get some garbage out of this so I can see if the clutch linkage is even there. I'm sure it is if it has the flex plate on it, or I mean the inspection cover on the bell housing. I don't know what we got going on here. That looks like under dash bracing, maybe? That dash is completely done. This window open hasn't helped it at all. Here's the other half of the dash. Oh. Okay, that's a little wire. Need that somewhere down the line. Cover the bottom of the steering column, one of the knobs. We gotta get a trash bag and come up here and sort the garbage out of that, get rid of it. That's an interesting thing to find in there. It looks like part of an amplifier top or some electronics, somebody's tennis shoes. Which is garbage. I'm more curious of the floorboard than anything. Because it has been raining through this window for as long as it's been up here. And the garbage from the rodent just sitting on it. Unknown bracket. You know, there's the other half of the amplifier. That was a pretty good guess. Heating duct, hose clamp, stainless steel. Keep that one. A DVD player, not an amplifier. Definitely aren't using that heating duct. Yeah, there's a part of, that's not unlike, yeah, I don't think so. The bed of this truck, we'll take another look at that, is in really good shape inside. So whoever the electronics or the county that owned it, typically, they don't use them much. They don't seem to get beat up bad. It's got a few holes and a little bit of rust on the surface. Nothing that can't be easily fixed. It's a rubber mat, which doesn't surprise me because that's what they all will know. The clutch is not going to work because there is no clutch pedal in it. It is manual, and I just happen to have all that because one of the other videos I'm doing is changing my 83 to a 5-speed, which requires a hydraulic clutch. Well, I have those linkage parts. Somebody was using this thing for parts. Like I said, I'm more interested in the floorboard right here. And it is solid. And yeah, I should be using a mask. This shit is not a joke. Like I said, though, it doesn't really smell like rodent, like the rodent gave up the ghost and left. Soon to come back. This is really fast. And shovel it up off the ground. I don't even want to sit on that master. My dad used to say, real trucks don't have carpets. This is a guy that loved Cadillacs. Cut a big ass hole right there. They have some arrows, so I think they had, looks like something you'd have for dual tanks, but this definitely did not have dual tanks on it. Ugh, gross. It's got the key in it. And the column is not bolted down either. I have a parts truck or two. I have a couple. One that was wrecked. Two that were wrecked, actually. So we can deal with that stuff. I'm going to drag this thing up, not right at the moment. I am going to drag it up a couple of 3 or 4 feet, get it out of this garbage, and see if I can get some air into the tires and get it started. We got to get this stuff out of the bell housing because I'm not even going to try to start it with that stuff like that. I'm going to leave this door. Yeah, I don't know why they would even try to make a nest there with the door wide open. They usually don't like that much exposure. They stole the clutch pedal. Well, it's not. Yeah, it is a problem. Because while I have all the pieces to make that hole again, I wonder if it's over there, or is that what's under the seat holding me up? Why would they take that one part of the pedal? No, it's not. Yeah, and I need to chase down a steering box. We'll start with getting it running, and then we'll do clip, window, and driving. Let's see what else do we got over here. That is really, really nasty. That's what that is. Take you out of this for a minute without getting my fingers in the way. Yeah, that's gross. Water bottle. We're going to do the rest of that with a vacuum cleaner and a mask now that I've overly exposed my asthmatic lungs to garbage, literally. Yeah, the floor seems to be good. Strange if it was bad over here because it ain't been wet over here. Nope, it's got a rubber mat on it that's all in one piece. There's definitely some body work I'm going to have to do here and there. It's not terrible. The cab's in good shape. What makes me wonder is, let's go walk over there, how the gas cap got on the other opposite side of the vehicle. Oh, that's nasty. Pretty sure that, oh, it's a locking gas cap and they pried it off. Somebody actually pried the locking gas cap off this, which means that tank's probably shot. I would assume it definitely got some water in there. Although that filler neck doesn't look all that rusty. But there is a hornet's nest. I'm not going to stick my finger in there anymore. That'd be stupid. There's a hornet's nest right there. And they were out flying around recently. That was probably pretty dumb. This truck is pretty rough, but it is definitely a savable truck. Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned it. I don't think I pointed it out. That's a cab whammy. See if we can get it's not terrible. I can definitely work it out. Need to seal up that backsliding window. Irritates me they do this. I was noticing my mom's Blazer just recently, the other day, I was noticing it was doing the same thing. Not happy about that. All right, we're going to let you go for now. Take one more look at it. The before. So that's what we got to work with. I actually think I can get air in those tires. It's interesting that they put the two regular Chevy hubcaps on one side and then the four-wheel drive ones are in the back. Obviously, it's not a four-wheel drive. Anyway, we'll cut it with that and we'll get back to you soon. I'll round up some parts. Now we know it turns over. Hello. Again, we are working on the 78 C10. I am back the next day. This is about the same time the next evening, about 5 o'clock. Actually, it's not. It's about 4:30. Anyway, I've done some real sketchy stuff. I've hooked my truck to this truck and drug it up on the ramps so I can get under it. Like I had told you, when we found the battery cable was gone, I knew the starter was gone. It looks sketchier than it is, I hope. It seems to be stable there. The tires all seem to be, well, 3 of the tires are free. That one drug, as you can see. I also moved it up far enough that I could not be laying in the rodent garbage. At least that was the idea, and I got my dirt creeper. Now we're going to go under there and get the dust shield off the bell housing, which is undoubtedly packed with vermin. Hopefully this doesn't end up being a transmission or pull out to get the garbage out, because this thing doesn't have much of a dust shield in a very small space, and the rodent went through the starter hole, no starter, and packed it full of enough to make it feel like it wanted to stop, and I stopped turning it at that point because it was moving too smoothly to want to jam it in there. So we're going to see if we can back some of that out. I'm going to actually take you under, and we're going to, I don't know how much light you're going to have, so we're going to try this. We're going under. I'll shrink you down a bit. The other thing that I noticed when I was under here is the e-brake cable is taut, very tight, which tells me the e-brake's on. You can see it on the other side, it is tight. So that tire might not be locked up, it might actually just be have the e-brake on. I'm not going to unlock it at the moment. I've got a rock behind the wheel. Not such a safe way to do that, but it works. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see any of this. We're going to try that. Man, I need a haircut. My hair is out of control. Okay. Got my mini tripod. Maybe where you can see. How many of these? Okay, where's the X bolt? They said I can't see very well in here. I can't, oh. Yeah, don't get the face in there. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but some garbage definitely did fall out of the thing. Oh, what sucks is it's the stuff on the clutch side that's going to be the biggest problem. And there ain't no way to get to it. I can only get this stuff. I seriously doubt that's what was jamming that. Although, maybe. I doubt it. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go back up on top. I'm going to take this dust shield with me and you. And we're going to rotate it back and forth and see if we can get it to drop whatever it's going to drop out, because the stuff in the starter hole, if they got on the pressure plate side of that, I can't get to it without pulling the transmission back out of there and then reaching in, which I can do. Don't want to. You know what this thing really needs is, well, it needs to run. Like I said, I have another engine for it. So the worst case scenario, I could put a different 350 in it, stock, but new-ish. It has about 20,000 miles on it. We're going to let you go for a minute, and we're going to go back top side. I'll get back with you in a minute. All right. I've got you on the tripod. And I've got socket ratchet and extension. Now, I felt this bolt try to tighten yesterday, so I'm hoping I can back it up and drop some of the garbage out of the bottom of the flex plate, maybe that it was binding on, maybe. It'll probably just loosen the bolt. That, and I put this thing on, that's the wrong direction, on top of the ramps. Hope it is backing up easily, actually. I can feel it on the compression. If this thing will go all the way around, we will come back, vacuum all this off, take the carburetor off of it, rebuild it, bring some plug wires, that there's a full rotation. And it does have compression, pretty good compression. I can feel it coming up on its compression strokes. Look right there. That is smooth. I see no reason. It's a small block Chevy with electronic ignition. This will definitely run. I am going to rebuild the carburetor. I don't like fighting with things, so we're just going to do it like I'm going to drive it down a canyon road that has cliffs on both sides. Oh yeah, that's because it does. So, okay, I'm back. I got a razor blade, I got some tape. I have some really nice scissors, but I didn't want to sit under here figuring out whether they worked or not while you guys are watching me do things very slowly. I try to get the blade cleared off. Here we go. Okay. This is not the right way to do this. The wires are in good shape. They're just old and brittle. There's the fusible link right there. Okay, so we're going to tape those up. This is temporary. I have another harness off the other one. It is a little newer, so it'll have wires that wouldn't be used. And when we put the front clip on, I might just do that, just because it's newer. We'll look at this harness as I take it apart, because this all can be fixed pretty easily, actually. But I'd love to have heat shrunk this. We're also not going to do that way. What we're trying to do is keep these from getting in trouble. I'm on tape. And that's not very hard. Remember, we're in the middle of the woods. Yeah, pretty hard to forget that. You see the camera view. I do not have a shop. We will be doing all this, for the moment anyway, in the woods or in my front yard, which is actually my backyard. I have lots of tools. I had a mobile welding repair, which I've said in the previous video. Great big service truck, also known as a giant cherry picker. I keep hearing my phone clicking. Yeah, you're still running. I don't trust it. I've got you on a little remote. Where's that bolt? Yeah, I guess I did have that. It doesn't, yeah. I will wire it, tie it down. It's an inch away from there. It's plenty of clearance, but like I said, I like things just right. Anyway, starter's in. We're going back upside. So give me a minute and I'll get you back up on top. All right, let's take a look at what we got to work with. The rocker on this side is pretty solid. As I believe you saw, I poked a screwdriver through the floor pan right there, and I could, that's seems to be from about right here, so I could cut that little patch out and patch that up. It doesn't seem to be over here in the corner. I went into that with a screwdriver pretty hard. There is some rust in there. I mean, I could buy a little pan and put it in there. Oh yeah, and I got a hole right here too, so maybe I will just. That's a potential. So let's take a look and see what else we've accomplished. Obviously a lot less rat poop. And that is one massive pile of rat shit. I'm going to get a garbage can up here, or shovel, and actually I'll probably shovel it and put it in a burn pile. And get way away from it when I burn it. You seen me argue with my vacuum cleaner. The filter fell off and plugged itself up. The pan seems sort of pretty solid over here. There's a spot there that needs to be dealt with. I mean, I can't drive a screwdriver through it, but it is definitely compromised. And I did find right here in the rocker, which I could cut this out, make that bend and weld another one in. But remember, this stuff usually, in this case, it probably did start from the outside in because this thing doesn't have a window on this side, which is why I'm kind of surprised all the rest is over there. But as far as the rest of the pan goes, it's good. Somebody did something real funky somewhere along the line. That's half of a hinge. And that is actually a hinge. And there's a bolt on it for that whole seat, but it's not a hinge like would be normal for these Chevys, the seat usually folds up. I am going to leave this open. The dash is a disaster. The wiring actually seems to be pretty good. I did note when I pointed to you, I don't know that you guys saw it. There's that blue wire that runs across the back of the firewall, which goes up and goes to the hot wire on the distributor. That goes and turned down to I'm assuming it went, because I pulled it up from down by the starter. So I think there was some jerry rigging going on there. But when I come back, I'll come back with a test light, a voltmeter, and a rebuilt carburetor, which is there. I am going to take that off now and take it with us, and we'll go through the rebuild of that thing. And one of the upgrades, it's crucial, these things, to keep them from washing your rings out and all kinds of other things. Give me a minute, I'll set you up and we'll take the carburetor off. All right, we're back. So I gotta say, I'm amazed at something. One, the choke's hooked up like it should be and not just jimmy rigged somehow. This carburetor's probably never been off, but the clips are actually still here, which, yeah, you gotta have them to have the thing work at all, but it doesn't, this thing looks original. I seldom see them like that anymore. I just had a little screwdriver pop those things off with. What did I do with it? All right, we're going to start with the wrong thing to do first, which is loosen the carburetor from the base. And of course, that's not going to fit down over it. Dang it, what did I do with that little screwdriver? And yeah, I am crisscross untightening it on purpose. I've taken a lot of these apart and people had problems with them. They all have new parts in them. They chased all the circuitry and they're warped. They're pretty easy to bend. They're the plates in between the upper body and the lower. It's just not impossible, that's for sure. So a little precaution, why not? And I tighten them down the same way, a little at a time, crisscrossing. Yeah, actually, before I get any further, so I have some torque on that thing, let's see if we can get this fuel line that's disconnected there, but maybe not. Get it on there good. Somebody used locking pliers on this, or vice grips on the 5/8 one. Do the squeeze. Jeez. My God. That's ridiculous. Okay. Let's get it in a better place for the squeeze, maybe. I need you on the bottom for lower. That's not happening. How about that direction? That's right back where we were, pretty much. No, maybe not. That's just too much. This is really not a good angle. Bam! That's ridiculously tight. Well, that's not a good position for push. That is. This is going to round that off. Come on. You got it. That was really tight. It's a flared fetting. It does not need to be that tight. It's probably just corrosion from years. We are a very dry climate here, so the amount of rust I just showed you is, I mean, yeah, it's nothing like back east, that's for sure. I wouldn't be touching this thing if it was that bad. There's certain things I'll save in there, like I have stated in previous videos. By the time this one gets out anyway. So somebody took that off, obviously. The fuel pump's been disconnected, clearly. And I don't expect that fuel pump to be working at all. Sometimes I can just grab these clips and pull them off. Come off there. Come on, you little booger, off. Like that. One clip. And this one's just a miniature version of that. You can barely see from here with this light. I can get a hold of the little edge of the clip. Come on, I'm gonna need a little screwdriver for this. I can't. Maybe. Come on. And that's hard on the fingers. Let me grab that little screwdriver. That's what we need. Let's try that again. Tiny. That's why I was amazed he was still here. Come on. Boy, you're a pain in my patookas. Come off. No, this isn't embarrassing at all. You're completely through that peg. Now, thank you. You're cooperative. All right. Okay, did I already lose the other clip? That'd be bad. Oh no, they're both right here. Okay, back to our pulling the carburetor off. Okay, so this linkage is disconnected. Pop the springs off. Which way do we want to do that? That way? This way. Just like that. I'm getting hungry. I eat every couple hours, so I'm like, oh God, I'm dying. It's been 2.5. Well, one thing I need to be careful of is making sure these are secured. The other thing is, I ain't wanting to open, I definitely am not one, I've been careful not to open the butterflies because I don't want to drop any more crap than I've already blown into the carburetor already that you seen being blown out. And we have a very active rodent because between the last time I cleaned a whole bunch out from under this hood and now, that little booger started filling it back in. Rats are not a little problem around here. They're huge. There are rat mounds, houses, hotels. We're like, yeah, major hotel. So you go out in the wood and see those things that are 20 feet in diameter and 10 feet tall. And that's not an exaggeration. These things, if they get in your house, they eat your wiring, they burn your house down. People die from that every year. Don't underestimate a rat. They are no good. Okay. See how much we got underneath the intake manifold. What do we got? Are we stuck just on one side? Did I get all the linkage? Yes, I did. Oh, yes. Vacuum booster. Idiot. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how I forget the vacuum booster. It's not like the first time I have done this. Yeah, a lot of them are, and that's another stock option. Somebody didn't cut the line and turn it into a vacuum hose. It's a hard line still. And yes, it is still a 5/8, I think. Yep, it is. This is a terrible angle. This is one of those things that should have been taken off while it was still bolted down. I'll get it. This was a whole lot easier when I was a little guy. Engine compartment, I mean. Oh, there went that PVC. PCV. Of course, you went from the wrong spot. You turkey. Okay. I knew I wasn't going to get that lucky. I was hoping, but no such luck. Got it. No broken knuckles. That's always good. And yeah, probably disconnect the vacuum and vents would be a good idea too. Speaking of which, it's still hard lined. It has a hard line with a rubber hose on both sides, and both of them are connected. This goes to the air cleaner. Vacuum vents down here, which I don't have. Somebody took that too. Yeah. Domino effect of stuff falling off the fender here. Well, that came off okay. Now can we take you away? PCV's already destroyed. There's a little bit of rust down there, but we already know it's not. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I didn't open those butterflies. Well, they're vacuum secondaried anyway. And they're stuck. That's okay. We'll fix all that. Well, it looks pretty clean in there. Let me get up there and look straight down in it, make sure, because I don't want to bring that dang generator up here and vacuum again. Hope it's clean down in there. Okay, the one thing we don't want is rodent going down in there and deciding he wants to make a home. Got a cure for that. At least I hope so. Some of the junk that I took out of here. This will not be here very long. That'll keep him, and I'll put a big rock on top of it to weight it down before I take off out of here. Let's take you out of there. Sorry about the hand. Well, we're going to leave it off for here for today. I'm going to go get something to eat. Hopefully this is okay because I can't see you. I'm going to pick up my tools and go back down the house. I'm going to set up so that we can do the carburetor ready build there. And thank you for your time. And I'll get back to you as soon as we're set up for the carburetor rebuild. All right, guys, we're going to start out this morning with, it's cold. Right here in the sun, best place to be. We're not going to be. I'm going to be underneath that hood. I'm going to get this thing, we're going to give it a try and getting it started today. Let me switch you around and I will get right back to you. All right, we've got you set up there. Let's get rid of this ugly hole here. Let's put the carburetor on this thing. I've already ground around underneath of it and put a remote switch on it so we can do the cranking over from out here. At least that's the idea. Now I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial. Once upon a time, I did a head job on a 1970 GMC Jimmy. GMC, not Jimmy, pickup. Long bed, half ton. Put everything back together, put the battery in it, hooked up the battery, had the remote start switch sitting there, grabbed that switch, and I almost did the thing. And something just said, don't do that. And I don't know why, but I went inside and I turned the key and the battery exploded. And when I say exploded, there were parts of that thing. There was not a single thing that looked like battery. I mean, there was guts everywhere. Little bitty pieces of lead and plastic blew the hood straight up. So ever since then, I've had this tendency to want to do the first little click click with a key if possible, or throw something over the battery. That's only happened once, and I was 20 when that happened, so we're talking like decades ago. But it indeed could be a really bad thing. Just something to keep in mind when you're laying over a battery. I can't tell you why it did that, but I can tell you it did do that. I grab the right socket? Of course not. Okay, let me grab a socket real quick. Okay, well, I managed to chase ratchet and socket extension for way too long. Let's try this again. Yes, and I do like to go crisscrossing back and forth not to warp this thing. Ouch. Get on that. Thank you. All right. That's good and tight. All right. Let's try to eliminate some of the vacuum leaks. Vacuum advance. PCV hose needs to go here, and I broke that dang thing off. I'm going to have to put that hose back on and stick a stick in it or something. My little springs, throttle spring, come here. Disconnect. That was not what you were supposed to do. Oh, that was brilliant. I know half of you guys saw that. I'll deny it. Yep, you saw it. Yeah, the throttle bracket needs to be underneath those nuts, or bolts, excuse me. That'd be a good idea. Again, I don't like to unequally torque these, so I back that off so I'm not on one side of the carburetor floating around, the other one cracked down. All right, come out of there. Let's do that one more time. Let's definitely not do that one more time. Now we aren't going to hook a fuel source to this today. What I am going to do is fill the bowl here, run it as long as it cooperates, probably a couple of times with the bowl, and determine what shape this engine's in, and then decide what we're going to do from there. Decide what we're doing, which means take the fuel, which was going to happen either way, take the fuel tank out. The fuel pump's already disconnected. It was disconnected before we ever got here. Like I said, they took all kinds of things off. This makes me feel like they had some catastrophic thing that wasn't, like I said before, just because they couldn't get it smogged. That might be the truth, and they just used the parts on the other things, but who knows? Vermin sticks. Let's go for the throttle thing again. Nope, you need to be in the middle of that one. Thank you. Get in there. Yeah, like that. Come on. Oh, you turkey. Nope, without gloves. My fingers are frozen with these gloves. Gotcha. No. There you are. This is going to have to be done without the glove though. Too small. Clip for the choke, which is of course pinned under there. Yeah, they could be. Oh. There's definitely stuff stuck in that. The choke's not going to work very well like that. Probably smoke a lot. All right, plug wires. I want to grab the battery, stick it in here. Maybe that way. What's the length like? Yeah, that could be. Hate these repair ends. And we have 2 of them. It's not good. Well, we might as well do the spark test now. No wild sparkage. All right, let's do the plug wire thing. So, which ones do we got? 8. Oh, of course we got number 18. Yeah, it looks like we got a heist. Yeah. So 1 is 8. Don't need any of that in our way. What else do we got? 8. That one's not 8. That one's not 8. Is that one? Yes, that one is 8. Where? Oh, where? Yeah. Where did you go? Okay. That one's definitely 8. So, what the heck? We are going to check the firing order. Why would it be wrong? Because crackheads were messing with us last. I'm going to straight climb up in there. Take a look. Closer. Well, that's interesting. Okay, 1 is not 8, 2 is, 3 is 8. Yeah. It does have all the old, well, it has a few of the hold down clips. Original hold down clips. nasty. Four. And that's the rest of number 3. And I got a random selection of known decent wires. One of those long enough to get to, kind of. I'm out of there. That will go away. That's a barely reach. Dang it. Oh, sir, we need a longer one. These are even shorter, I believe. Yeah, this is the one I just had, I'm sure of it. Yep, it's pushing its limits. So we'll go with the stupid long one. I don't have anything that needs to be longer. Okay, so those are all okay. This one is definitely not. Come on. You're almost out of there, thank you. It's garbage. Number 2. 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7. Of course, it's that one. Furthest away. I'm out there. Come on. Ow. Ow, smack my thumb. Go back to the longest one of these, and it's just gonna have to work. I hope. Almost the same dang distance as the other side. Damn sticks. This. Oh. Okay. Now this is interesting. This was actually going down to the starter, but it also may have just fell down there. It goes over and goes to the distributor, which makes me feel like these guys were hot wiring this thing, which is okay. We're gonna pull it out because it's been, yeah, they kind of put it in a permanent situation. Almost reaches there. I have a feeling we're going to need to use it. We're going to test that right now with a key. See whether we got power to any of the places it's supposed to go to. All right, before I climb out of here. Oh yeah, I know what we need to do before we get at any further at all. This thing had barely oil on the stick, and yes, the front end is way up in the air, but I'd rather have a little too much oil than not enough, and I just kicked the fuel over onto the ground. Hot sauce bottle. We'll grab some oil. You use the diesel oil. I would put additives in it when we change the oil and all that. This diesel oil won't hurt it. There's about a quart in this. Maybe a little more than a quart. Nah, about a quart. Well, that sounds a little, I know I did that before, but yeah, that's the least of our problems at the moment. Gotta be kidding me. I know this stuff's cold, so let's try that again. I mean, really cold. Well, we're not going to try to start it if I can't even get it on the stick. I'm going to have another gallon here. Hold on. I do. I thought I did. I tried to come prepared. Come on. Are you going to actually peel off? Amazing. I didn't see any big holes in the bottom of this thing when I was down there. Did look at the side of the block to see if there's anything hanging out of it, like rods, you know, that type of thing. What the heck? Okay, time to look underneath this, make sure it isn't just running out on the ground. It isn't. That would make about 3 quarts. Considering these things have a 5-quart capacity-ish. Yeah, 5 quarts. 4 in the pan and 1 in the filter. This better show something on the stick. Like I said, it is on an angle. And that is the end that the pickup is on the fuel pump, the oil pump. Let's try that again. That's really not a good sign. You know, we're 1 quart flow now. And considering that's all of the back of the engine and that's all the oil is, this thing had to have near no oil in it. That's scary. More scary is the oil on the stick is completely clear, like it's not mixing with anything. There had to be some in there, right? You know, the oil plugs in it. No, that's going to bring it right to where it should be. It is. It's right to full now. It looks like brand new oil in there. That is scary. All right. Okay, what I do with my voltmeter, just had. Okay, before we put any fuel in this, let's put the well cap back on. That'd be a good idea. I'm going to bump the starter, see if that does anything. Leave the ignition on and see if I have power to that wire that seems to be stripped back to give it power. With only 1 lead going into the strip, that they've been hot wiring this. There's just no 2 ways about that. Nothing. Well, let's see if we got any power. So I'm almost certain we're not going to. Yeah. That is positive. Ow! Got let loose some here to that wire. Okay, 9 volts. 12 point. Okay, I had 12 volts there. Interesting. The key on is working, but it is not cranking. Let me see if the neutral safety switches. The thing's got half a missing the pedal, so I can't imagine that being it. It's definitely not engaged. Or disengaged. Yeah, engaged. See if we get conductivity here. I know the starter works because it came out of a working vehicle. Now, it was before it was wrecked. Come on. Slide through there. This cable it's going to mess with us. There's no two ways about that. It's a rusty, crusty piece of garbage. Well, it says we got power. Damn it. Well, that's got to be bad connection because we already know this rolls over. I've done it by hand. Like I said, it's going to mess with us. Maybe. Come on, baby. Damn ya. Disconnect that for a minute. Well, that's a little on the weak side. Also had sparks over here, and this battery's fully charged. And that is acting like it doesn't have any charge. Definitely ain't starting it with that slow of turn. Man, that doesn't sound like it's. Let me do this again. Just said it had plenty of voltage. That's what it said. Well, $12.4, it should be doing just fine. I can turn this thing by hand, so what the heck? I might have to throw some cables on it. These battery connection cables are garbage. Yeah, that's acting like it's getting no juice. We need to, let me clean these up and I'll get back to you so you don't have to just sit here watching me do that. Okay, I don't know if we're going to be successful. I went to town, bought 2 battery ends, put them on there. The battery still didn't work. I may have killed that battery the other day overcharging it. So let's hook up this remote start and see if this cures it, or we have maybe a starter problem. I hope not. I don't have another starter. I don't really want to buy one. Okay. Why are we all twisted up and being cantankerous? This should be... Yeah, that's a lot better. Doesn't sound great, but it turns over. All right, so... Am I seeing a fan belt jumping around there? Or did that fall off? It's off. Well, I haven't tested for spark, but it did test to see if there's power there. That may not be too either. That's going to come right out that bowl. Let's give that some uphill. Needle and seat should stop it. Doesn't mean it's gonna. Just means it should. Oh yeah, and we have to block out those. We got 2 extremely large vacuum leaks I need to fix both of those real quick. Because it will definitely not run good like that. Let me grab a lines and I'll be right back. Alrighty. Come on, get on there. Might be just a little brittle. It's on there enough. And I need a little, yeah. I know what we'll do. God, can't be doing that. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Oh, it's not going to work at all. That's just great. Garbage tape. Let's try that again. Yeah. You're a jerk. You're garbage. You're going to be a vacuum leak. No, you're not. You think you can stick to yourself, please? Yeah, I thought so. Better. And we'll do the other one not the right way. Literally stick a stick in it. All right. Man, it's cold out here. Oh yeah, we need to tighten that just a hair. Come on. Somebody put pipe tape on it and a compression fitting. Not bright, not good, don't do it. Geez, and that, oh, that's the whole fitting. All right. Yeah. Out of gas. It runs. It didn't smoke up the valley. It's incredible. A little bit. Come on, you can take more than that. You should run more longer than that. Oh, you know, we still have a great big vacuum leak. I'm an idiot. Yes, you can say it. I'm an idiot. The booster isn't screwed into the back of this thing. Let's get rid of that problem right now. Don't tell me. Oh, no, you aren't. Oh, cross thread that thing in there. Which you wouldn't think you could do because it's fixed in an angle. Fire hazard. Get out of there. All right. That's one less major vacuum leak. Ew. Okay, let's try this again. See if it's any happier about that. Squirt, squirt. The answer is yes. Well, it does run. A little bit clicky, but it's been sitting for a very, very long time. Well, that is not too bad. I'd say that's success. Very good. I wonder why the key ain't working. Well, I shouldn't wonder that too much. The wiring is a nightmare on this thing. We're going to take you down here from there in a minute here. I'm going to try the key again. That is a negative. I'll chase that down later. That's little stuff. Big stuff is this thing runs, and it gives me much more hope on whether I'm moving forward or not. And it is dripping out the throttle shaft. And those gaugers aren't working. There's nothing in that dash that's working. They're definitely calling that success. Like I had said before, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with this. I gotta watch where I'm going here. We got company. So you see me? And a Titan. That is a Titan, the black one. And a Sammy. You guys are bean butts. And that is a Sammy. Anyway, it runs. It doesn't run too bad. There's a little bit of smoke. It might be, some of that is definitely because it is really cold out here. It's probably 40, but there's a bit of breeze. It feels colder than that to me, but we succeeded. So I think where we're going to go in the next one, we're going to end this video here. And when we take up again with this, I'll be putting a front clip on it. We will be putting a window in the door, putting seats in it, pulling the gas tank out, and going through a complete brake inspection, safety inspection, make sure everything's working. I also got to come up with a power steering box. And what else am I missing? And put the whole pulley, like you said, seen. No alternator, no power steering pump. Need to put those on there, put the radiator in it. I'm going to pull the front clip and cheat and put that stuff on when the front clip's off. This clip is destroyed. Remember, there is nothing left of this clip. It is just not worth anything. I have a perfect clip, so we're going to put it in. It's a different color. I'm going to put this truck completely together and make it function and drive safely again, and probably sell it at that point. I originally got it because, like I said, I was going to put a 55 Chevy on top of it. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. These things are really rare. I'll find something else to put the 55 Chevy on later. But we're going to end this video over here, and I thank you for going through all this with me. Like, comment, subscribe. I like the comments. I do like to read them, and I do appreciate the feedback. Hype it if you can. Thank you, and I'll see you shortly.